welcome to the Church Street podcast put on by First Grapevine Methodist Church. And yes, we really are on Church Street. We are getting a head start. We're jumping the gun a little bit, and we're just going to chit-chat about Christmas, Advent, the season of Christ coming into the world, and all that it means. I'm going to read a verse that we will not be preaching on. This is not what we're going to use this year, but to me, it cuts right to the heart of the matter. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. I'm going to skip down a little bit. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen his glory. The glory is of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. And that's from the first chapter of the Gospel of John. My name is Grant. I am a pastor here at this church. I am joined by Paul Bielss, who is our production manager, which means he works with the sound, the video, and a lot of other things behind the scenes so that we can do what we do. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. We didn't really have our normal amount of time, our normal schedule, and you can tell we don't have our normal amount of talent in the room.
Are you saying I'm untalented?
I'm just saying you and I both don't have the kilos of talent of what we have grown accustomed to. So, but we didn't want to leave this week without putting something out. We wanted to try to do our best on short notice. So, thank you for being here with us and including us in whatever you have going on. But we've been working on getting ready for Christmas. We have Christmas decorators in the building, and we're talking about Christmas music and what service are you going to work? Do we have enough volunteers? Which hymns are we going to sing? Who's speaking where and when? Covering all that stuff, making sure, which is a little bit later than normal, just to give you a little inside baseball. But with so many of our staff being new the past few months, we're playing a little bit of catch up, which actually I don't mind. It's been kind of fun. I enjoy having so many new people around the church and so many fresh perspectives on what we do, and I just can't wait to share Christmas on Church Street with all these new people, and hopefully with all of you. And if you've never been here for Christmas, please put us on your calendar. Make that a part of your holiday celebration, because there's just nothing quite like it. So I read this passage from John that we'll be reading from the Gospel of Luke, and I'd encourage you to get a head start on that and read along with us. There are 4 Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and each one has a slightly different perspective on the life, the ministry, and the death and resurrection of Jesus. And Luke is the one with that classic Christmas story. If you've ever seen the Peanuts Christmas movie, Linus is reading straight from the Gospel of Luke. So I encourage you to read that. I just read John because I think that this one, again, summarizes what's happening. God coming into the world. That's what we celebrate at Christmas. That's what it means. And what an incredible thing that the creator of the universe would come to us, and not come during a time of celebration, of peace, of prosperity. Jesus came and lived in poverty, was born, and he was laid in a manger in a situation that was scandalous and dangerous, and Herod is after him before he's even born. and the Romans are occupying the land. Everything that could be wrong is wrong with this story. And yet that is where God chooses to come down and to walk amongst us full of grace and truth. And I appreciate, I don't fully understand. I don't think I will this side of the grave, but in a way I appreciate that example that Christ showed for us, that God showed for us by being there. Because a lot of times our lives feel like it's completely wheels off. There's no order, no direction, and there is no peace.
I was going to say that you mentioned Luke 2, and Hallmark has a new action figurine, whatever you want to call, and it's Linus, and he kind of moves and everything like that. And I showed it to my wife, who's very big into the Linus Luke 2 passage, and she goes, "It's just not the same because they're not using the same voice from the 1960s."
Kind of hard to
Christmas.
match that.
Yeah, and so she said, "It's not the same. I don't need that." So,
Okay.
But
It's funny. That's actually a good tie-in to the more lighthearted version of this that I wanted to talk about. What was that?
I think that was me.
Oh, okay. I was like, was that my phone?
No, I think that was my watch.
Man,
Too much
Okay.
electronics in there.
right? That's true about life. So the big part about the Christmas story to me is how we connect with it and what we remember and what about it speaks to us. And we've talked a little bit about some church memories around Christmas because we talked about walking around. But what are some other like mandatory Christmas season things that you feel you have to do?
Well, and you and I were talking about this earlier, and that is when my wife and I, Rebecca and I, were first married and putting out the tree, we had to watch White Christmas. That was it. Well, when the kids started coming along and everything like that, and Patrick got old enough, he said, "This White Christmas? No, we have to watch the true Christmas, true movie." And you know what that is?
Die Hard.
Die Hard, exactly right. And so when he was a teenager and beyond, until he moved out, we had to watch Die Hard to put up the tree. And if he comes back even today to help put up the Christmas tree or put up, quote, his ornaments that he still has at our house, that is basically Die Hard. We have to have it on or he doesn't want to work on it. So
we've had this conversation on this podcast for years and years, and this is the first time we've brought it up. There's not an opposition voice, and because I think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, not just because it takes place at a Christmas party, but because it's about coming together and the incarnation happening, Christ coming into the world, is God coming together with us and calling us to the same. To be united in purpose and in spirit. So I think Die Hard is a legit Christmas movie. My Christmas movie traditions include It's a Wonderful Life,
Oh,
which
definitely.
we can come back to,
Yes.
and The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, definitely.
I love
Light the lamp, not the rat. Light the lamp, not the rat.
why that is the line that you always go to every time this movie comes up. Although that is a pretty funny one. I love it because it's so accurate. It's so close to the original.
What's his name?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine said that he would not do it unless it was true to the Dickens.
He plays it so serious
Oh, yeah.
too, like the most serious role in the world, and I love it so much. But for me, this is a long-standing tradition that has gone from something kind of sad and has been just due to the nature of the way God works in our lives, turned into something very hopeful and positive. Well, it was originally kind of sad because for me, I've always had to, my entire adult life, work Christmas Eve. And before I worked for a church that was working late, which that's been for a very long time. I even worked retail. I worked in a shopping mall. So I've always been getting home at midnight and on Christmas Eve. And it can be a very lonely experience.
Totally.
And after you've been working and you get home after midnight, after midnight, and you're just so tired and wound up at the same time, you can't just fall asleep. So I started watching the Muppets Christmas Carol. I don't want to tell you how many years. It's decades now. And I did that every year, and it was kind of a sad thing, and go home and sit there by myself and watch a Muppets Christmas Carol until I fell asleep. But it's grown to be an experience that I really enjoy and appreciate, and I can reflect back on all the festivities, all the worship services, all the conversations. And so I no longer sit there feeling sad and lonely. I now look forward to the experience of getting home after having an incredible day with all my favorite people, doing what I love, which is celebrating Christ among us. And I get to do all of that. At the end of it, I go and watch what still is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Now, this was more of a meme that went around, I believe it was last year. But how about this? Die Hard Muppets, or Muppets Die Hard. And it had all of the characters, who should play what and everything like that. Would you watch that?
I love everything that involves the Muppets. I'll confess. Absolutely love the Muppets. And I love A Christmas Carol of Charles Dickens, and so the intersection of those two things is great. But a Muppets Die Hard would be hilarious. But again, I'm down with anything that involves Muppets. But that's just an important part of my routine, and it's something that I obviously don't share with anybody. But I enjoy what it has become. And I lift this up, I lay this out before you, because if you let God work in your life, especially in the hardest, loneliest places, God wants to do something special and interesting, and take something that can begin in pain and loneliness and turn it into a celebration. And I think that's especially important around the holidays, because we miss people who have gone on before us, and we really feel all the feelings in a heavy way, and loneliness and missing someone is a part of it. But Christmas is not about the shopping, the music. It's not about Mariah Carey. It's not about North Park Mall. It's about Christ meeting us where we are. And if you are sad and lonely, you've had a hard year, that's where God wants to find you and do incredible things. We just have to be open to that.
You know, you mentioned North Park Mall, and I'll mention you hate 121. Everybody knows that Highway 121.
It belongs to the devil.
Well, don't go near North Park Mall during Christmas, because 121 to the nth degree over there, people just lose their mind trying to get in and out of that place. Last year, a woman comes the wrong way and then blames me for going the right way on the road.
That's
inside.
the most Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex thing ever, of violating all basic norms of humanity and traffic laws, and then blaming somebody else for it. Yeah,
Exactly. And that was North Park Mall, and I love to go over there. The trains and everything.
I mean, Santa Claus is so fantastic.
I think that
I love all the decorations.
The Santa that
yeah, be careful.
Yeah. He is. That's one of his best places, I'll just say.
Oh,
to see.
Yes. If you want to see Santa Claus, go to North Park. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you heard my Santa Claus North Park story?
No.
Okay. Well, I've told it on here before, but if you don't remember, then nobody else does either. So, as you know, Santa Claus has a lot of helpers.
Right.
He can't be at every mall, can't be at every party. And so sometimes when you see Santa Claus, it's one of his friends who is dressed up as Santa Claus.
Right.
but it's not always the real Santa Claus. That's okay. I mean, they're all in cahoots together. All right.
Right.
I'm being very careful here because I'm aware of little ears in the car with you. But so I worked at North Park for a couple of seasons while I was in school, and just kind of needed a break from the church grind. And so I needed a job that helped pay some bills, but I needed a breather on this. And I was in school working at North Park, and I was working like double shifts during Christmas. And that is a grueling place to work in retail. If you need to go shopping in a mall during Christmas, please be nice to the people on the other side of the counter, because you have no idea what they're going through. And the Christmas music all the time, I got so bah humbug because of the same 5 songs that played over and over again. And right next to the store where I was working, they had Santa's little village, his little hut there where they come and take pictures. And that was a long day, and I just watched this happen all day long, just having picture taken, having kids come and doing little readings and shows. And I happened to get there one day early, and I saw Santa Claus. And he came over and talked to me. We talked and asked my name and where I worked and what I was doing in life. And we had a nice conversation. And I worked a double shift. He worked there all day. And as I was leaving, Santa Claus calls my name. "Bye, Grant. Hope you have a good evening." And I thought, how did he remember my name? All those kids. Why is he still smiling and feeling nice? That's because he's the real Santa Claus. That's the only explanation that makes sense in my mind. And you know what? You can't convince me otherwise.
Yep.
So it's been a joy to take the princess to North Park to go to see Santa Claus, because we go to the little show. He puts on a little show now, and we'll go and watch that. And she takes her little camera and takes pictures. So I've got those from last year, and I think the year before that. It's a lot of fun. So that's become a part. That's another thing that's grown from me grumbling to myself about having to be here, to the joy of getting to share that with my family.
I know that at North Park there used to be another show that was a puppet that did Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah,
it weirds me out.
He's very rude to people.
The one up there by Dillard's.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's a bit much.
Yes.
And then there's the 12 Days of Christmas, the big clock.
Right
there by Dillard's. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The princess wasn't as enamored with that one, but I think it's cool.
Now theologically, the 12 Days of Christmas actually comes after Christmas. Is that correct?
Isn't it, though? Yeah. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, I'm not an expert either, but I believe it's the after the fact.
See, if Dr. Kiva Green were here, we'd
correct.
have an answer.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
But again, we're running low on talent today. You've been pre-warned.
Now, you read the John passage, and it talks about the light, and I know that the Luke talks about the light. Our theme for Advent is
the light of the world.
And why did we choose that theme?
Don't want to admit that on air.
Oh, okay. Look at the postcards.
Okay, I'll share why. Part of our decoration crew came to us during the summer, and they've always wanted us to do some kind of tie-in with what's happening at the Gaylord and with the city to signal to potential guests and visitors and people who don't know what we're about that we are part of the Christmas celebration here. We are part of the fabric of Grapevine, Texas, the Christmas capital of the world, or of Texas. It's not really of the world, but of Texas. And so I just kind of agreed, okay, whatever theme they're doing, we'll tie it in somehow. All right. Without more thought than that, unfortunately, because the theme at the Gaylord, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Gaylord puts on this pretty incredible ice sculpture.
I don't know if this is true, but they said 2 million pounds
of
ice is what they use.
I mean, I don't know. It's like that much. I'm holding up my hands like I've caught a fish or something. That much ice. And so their theme is Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. And so we're going to have some Rudolph decorations outside, not inside, okay, but that's what inspired us to do the light of the world. And I'm only going to mention it once, that the Rudolph story, it's a kid's tale. We're all used to it. We're all familiar. But when you stop and think about it, it is kind of a cautionary tale for each of us, because Santa and everybody else in the North Pole really took Rudolph for granted until they needed him, until they needed the light, until there were an emergency situation. The truth is, the light was always there. And that's unfortunately how we treat God in our lives. We like Christmas, we like Easter, and we pray like it's like God's a genie, and we rub the lamp like, please come and help me in this moment. Whereas, and truth is, the Lord wants to always illumine our path and wants to always guide our steps. And the light of the world is for our hearts, our souls, our minds every day, not just when we're stuck in a ditch somewhere. And this Christmas, to me, that's the reminder of, as we celebrate Christ coming into the world, we've got to remember that Christmas is a year-long celebration. And so that's what the light of the world means to me. But also, in my work, I think I'm encountering more and more people who are experiencing pain and suffering and grief and loneliness. I think we have a loneliness epidemic going on. So much darkness. We need to remember where the true light comes from. And
don't you think that is, and you've kind of touched on it, but it's basically even amplified during Christmas season?
Absolutely, I do. I think that first of all, the marketing in the world that Christmas is about stuff. Well, the true light of the world doesn't come from the glow of another screen. It only comes from God. The true light of the world doesn't come from headlights on a car or the lights of a store, of Walmart or Best Buy or North Park. It comes from God. And it's not the answer we want to hear necessarily, because we crave more sugar and fast food for our souls, but it is the true healing bread of life that we need. That's where it comes from.
Well, and you mentioned retailers and everything like that, and be nice to them. If you really want to freak out some retailers, call for their manager and tell their manager how good that person was. And you'll see them freak out because they'll think that you're complaining about it. Mm-hmm. But basically, compliment them, but tell their manager about it. And then the smile even gets bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was younger, I complained a lot about retailers and everything like that. But I made it a mark as I've gotten older to make sure that I compliment at least as much as I complain, if not more.
Just treating people like humans goes so far, and that's so sad to me. I was invited to a very nice restaurant, and I had the princess with me. This was last week, I guess. Time is just all running together, but I had to valet. Again, it's dark. I've got a 7-year-old trying to get this done. So valet park my car, come back to get it after the meal, and the valets were so apologetic, oh, I'm sorry, we've got you kind of blocked in, we'll have to move, give us a minute, da 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 da. And there are two of them working. One of them's it's my first day, I'm so sorry. And it's finally had to put up a hand and said, fellas, everything's okay. We're all okay. I don't mind taking a minute for you to move the other car so I can get my car out. Stop apologizing, all right?
Yeah.
And they both of them just breathed a heavy sigh and said, people are so demanding and want it done immediately, and you can see our setup is not ideal for parking cars. And they just needed to talk about this, and I thought, that's so sad that we are so uptight that we have to have everything right now, that we can't realize that you need to treat a person with some dignity and respect. You need to take a deep breath and just stop worrying about this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I just think it gets worse at Christmas because I've lived it, and there are too many people everywhere. And
Well, you and I had the opportunity last
I
year.
knew you were going to say that. You can't talk about Christmas without complaining about this.
I'm not complaining. I'm just stating a fact here that I always wanted to go to New York City. I always wanted to go see the ball drop at
New
Year's Eve. And then after last year, you and I and Carly walked the main street down to the Vin to see the lighting of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! 30,000 people later. We finally get back to the parking lot here at church, and all three of us were exhausted and said, never again. And that happens. It'll happen after we post this, but it's coming up. And I keep on...
Well, my friend Bill, William D. Tate, the mayor, my friend, he assures me that they're going to have stuff all along Main Street, not just in one spot. So the crowd will be more spread out.
Okay.
That was the intention, because
and I'm so old that I remember when my kids, we had tree lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you had maybe 300-400 people there, and you had a couple of elementary choirs and maybe a dance troupe, and it was in the courtyard, where the gazebo is there on Main Street, and that was it.
Yeah, 30,000 people on Main Street, Grapevine, Texas.
And I keep on warning the people that are new to staff. I keep on saying that Main Street basically closes, and that will be this Sunday. Well, yesterday, last Sunday.
Paul went on and on in worship meeting, and Josh finally said, "Which service does this relate to?" Just to move things along. So it's okay. You've been warned now, although I think you should still go. I think it's a good time.
It's a lot of fun, but it's just, if you have to be people-ish.
Oh, Lord, do you? Yeah. But, maybe that's a fun tradition you can start with your family, of going to the events that they have on Main Street. For me, I always take the princess, again, she's 7 now, but every year take her to go see the big tree in Sundance Square in Fort Worth and take her picture. And we've gone with different people every year, and I've got just a series of photos of the princess by the tree. And I wish I could plan it better, because every single year it's been I've got a break tonight. I don't have a meeting. Let's just go. Let's just put a Christmas sweater on the baby and let's just go. And because that's, I'm super busy this time of year, but it's every time. Now I know when I stop and think about it that I'm frustrated. I'm in a hurry. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I have to conjure those memories. The ones that really come up are just the smiles on the princess's face and the fun and the joy. And I'm trying to make more space for that. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a little bit less bah humbug and a little bit more who's down in Whoville to jump around my different stories there. Okay, I should keep it all in one story, right? I'm trying to be less Grinch and more Cindy Lou Who.
Well, have you ever gone to Interlaken over in Arlington?
Mm-mm.
Interlaken is these are neighborhoods, not a neighborhood, but neighborhoods that go together that are all Christmas displays.
Wow.
And literally, you better have all night there, because it's hundreds of cars waiting to get through there. So you have to have your patience on, but it's usually worth it. What we probably need to do is rent like a bus or something like that, and then go through something like that with church members.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think that the camaraderie would be there.
I like to just walk up and down Main Street any night of the week during Christmas season with all the decorations and everything.
Something that has been lost over the years, and I've never had a caroler stop at my house. And I can't remember the last time that I went caroling, basically from house to house. You don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you don't knock on strangers' doors at all anymore. But maybe there's a way to do that. I've tried in years past to get a group together to go down Main Street or different places. I hate to talk about that too much here, because I'm still going to try again this year. So more TBD.
Well,
TBD.
and as a youth director, one of the places that was very safe was to go to a nursing home or something like that and carol through the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
And they always appreciated that. And so maybe we can start that away.
Maybe. Let's see. We should talk to Miss Rebecca and Josh
Yeah.
and see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into.
I'm down.
Yeah. So any other Christmas traditions that you recommend or that you're interested in checking out?
There's a German festival usually out at the ballpark. Or whatever we call it now. And I've gone once or twice out there, and that's a lot of fun. But they have basically German activities and German gifts that you can buy and German food and all that kind of stuff.
Germany has those Christmas markets. I'd love to go and see one. I have some friends who took a trip to go and see the Christmas markets before. That would be interesting to me. If you didn't, so we work at a church, so it's a super busy time for us. If you didn't have to be here Christmas Eve, is there something you would go and do?
Ooh. That's a good question because, our tradition is 11 o'clock. So even if I wasn't working at a church, 11 o'clock Christmas Eve, that's where we would be.
I'd be in Rome. I'd be in Rome or Jerusalem. I think that being in Israel during Christmas would be, well, actually you go to Bethlehem, but that's the
live feed
even more challenging.
Of the Vatican. I've done that at 2:00 in the morning and watched the live feed of the Pope and everything like that because the time difference and everything.
Yeah, to be there at St. Peter's, I bet would be
amazing.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other. I've looked this up. You can tell I've spent time of what if I could just go and do what I wanted to do. What would that be? I've spent a little time researching that. A lot of interesting things going on. That would be my dream would be to see Christmas in one of these more ancient and holy places.
You've been to the Vatican. I've been to the Vatican.
Yes.
When you were there, was St. Peter's Square, was it full? Mine was only full of tourists. It wasn't a big activity or anything like that.
They were setting up for a big activity. I'm trying to remember what. But no, it wasn't packed. It wasn't full that day. I don't think the Pope was home when I was there. So, but I'd love to see it during Christmas. Again, I'd love to go to Israel, Bethlehem if I could. Obviously, I don't think that's a smart idea this season, but hopefully someday. And yeah, but I love what I do. I'm not saying I lament that I have to be on Church Street Christmas Eve. It's a huge honor and a privilege to get to do what I do. But someday I'll hang up the stoles, and then I will be booking trips to be in Italy or Israel, or there's a few other places on my list.
Well, last year, I know that last year was a busy day because we had our morning services.
Was it last year or the year before?
It was last year that we had our morning services, and then Christmas Eve fell that night. And so we literally had, 6 services to do.
I have no memory of this.
We were you and I both were wiped out by the end of the day.
I remember speaking at the 11. I remember that.
And maybe we only had 5 because maybe we only had one service, combined service. But we had a morning service and then 4 afternoon, evening services.
We should go look this up.
Yeah.
Because I assume Carly spoke in the morning?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. But you and I were here for all 5.
Well, yeah, that's I mean, we're in it to win it. All I remember from last year is everything worked from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
The soundboard, the lights, everything worked. And any old building like ours, you have technical issues and challenges, and we didn't have any problems, and it felt like a Christmas miracle. I remember that very distinctly. And yeah, and I always remember the long drive home, which isn't very long at all. But if you have to if you have to pull around the block, it feels like an epic journey when you're that tired.
Well, and it's also it's very quiet usually. Last year it was different, but usually when we're leaving here, it's
other than
so
Main
quiet.
Street, it was pretty quiet. Yeah. I like that though. Special moment. It's a special experience.
Do you turn? I mean, you and I both have our radios usually. I won't say blaring, but we'll say on. I turn mine off on Christmas.
Yeah, I don't listen to anything on the way home ever.
And just
I roll the windows down too.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I don't care how. I mean, it's been icing before.
Yeah.
While I've left here, and I don't care. Windows down.
It's
I gotta
just
feel
a different
it. I gotta feel
exactly.
whatever it is. I gotta feel Christmas on my face.
Exactly. I agree. I totally agree.
We're nuts, aren't we? We're just really. But you don't have to work at a church. You don't have to. We would love for you to come hang out with us, but I recommend it. Take a moment, Christmas Eve, walk around outside your house or outside your apartment. Just step outside, feel that air. Have that cup of coffee by yourself before the rest of the family gets up. Contemplate what it means that the Word became flesh and dwelt here among us. And we've seen this glory, that of the Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. Let that permeate your mind and your being, and see. You're staring at the soundboard.
No. I was just making sure that old eyes. I couldn't tell if it was a 0 or an 8.
He's always worried that he forgot to hit record.
Every time I put the SD card in, I go, yes.
Well, that one time it didn't record.
Yeah,
it's a shame too. It was the greatest podcaster ever podcasted, ever.
And you're not going to ever let that one.
Every other podcast is just a shadow of the one true
that
lost
got away.
Podcast.
The one that got away.
No, So, any other Christmas reflections?
Well, you and I were talking about "It's a Wonderful Life."
Hey, it's such a good movie that really resonates so much with me. Thank you for bringing that back up, because Christmas is a time to remember the value that you have. You are a child of God. That's why God came. And you are a part of something bigger than yourself. And sometimes due to stress and anxiety and worry and pain, that can be hard to remember. That to me is the message of that movie, of that you have a purpose, you have meaning, and if you don't feel that, just hold on tight, hold on to your faith, and remember that God loves you and has a plan for your life. Another part of that is I love the dynamic between the main character and the angel that's been sent to look after him, Clarence. And Clarence, as you know, he's a little different. But he does an amazing job of caring and looking out for him. And I often refer to Paul as my Clarence. He's helped me out in times where I felt very desperate and alone, and helped me to remember that I'm a part of something bigger, and I just need to keep it together and put one foot in front of the other. And so Paul's been there for me a lot in my life, and we would like to be that for you. I always try to remind you that if you need to pray, if you need to talk, we're here for you. It's a great joy in our life to be with you in those moments. And again, I was about to say we have to do that for each other. No, Paul has to do that for me. But
well, the funny thing about "It's a Wonderful Life," as a teacher, we have to go with things that are called TEKS, and that's Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. But basically, in that, for the class that I taught, you had to show old movies. Well, to a teenager, a movie from 2 years ago is an old movie. Okay, so they don't even want to look at or think about black and white movies. Well, I always, at Christmas, would show It's a Wonderful Life. And I had questions so that it was, part of my curriculum. But these kids, most of them had never watched it. And so I was giving them something new and something different. And I always felt that maybe just that spark helped some of those kids. Don't know if it did or not.
I like how that's sort of an undercover way to share some good news with them.
Yeah,
because I think it's a very Christian movie.
Oh, definitely.
Prayer features prominently in this I don't mind spoiling it, by the way. If you haven't seen it by now, was it filmed in 1946?
Yeah, right after the war.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it by now, that's on you. All right.
Spoiler alert.
Actually, I think I do know someone who's never seen it. Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know how you do that.
Well, I know some people that have seen the Thomas Marlo Thomas version, and it's kind of like that version's just not good. Watch the original. That was I want to say in the 70s. Yeah, and Marlo Thomas was the grouchy old person.
Oh, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, it was Mrs. Potter at that time. So but
building alone, $5,000. The voices are so funny to me. But there's such a gap in how we talk. It's such a fun movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. And knowing some of the things that I know, the silly things like that was not snow. Those were
about the production,
the cornflakes.
And they won an award for that.
Yeah.
For the fake snow.
Yeah.
It was pretty remarkable technology at the time.
Yeah. From my understanding, it was filmed basically during the summer, and then shown. And you and I were talking earlier about Die Hard, and if it was a Christmas movie, and we were talking about that it was released during the summer, so it's kind of like
you can celebrate Christmas year round.
Exactly,
and you should. I know that Harvest Hall does a Christmas in July thing. Maybe we should jump on that bandwagon sometime.
Yeah, I like
a little bit of Christmas in the summer. Just a reminder, Christ is coming into the world. Let's still celebrate. Let me ponder that. I don't know what to do with it yet. This is the danger of the podcast as we record an authentic conversation, but we say things that are not fully formed ideas, and sometimes that gets us in trouble.
Big time.
Yeah, maybe. And so don't hold us to that. Give us a minute to
Well, if they want to hold us to it, they can be the people that help us do it.
Yeah, don't be a Grinch.
Yeah.
Come and help us out. Yeah. We've been these has been a little silly already as we've talked about movies and traditions. I didn't mean for it to be. We hope to throw out some ideas to give you something to look forward to and maybe something to share with your family. But that we're looking forward to Christmas, but let's pause and talk about the here and now. Is there anything you're doing that's fun recently that helps you relax?
I'm trying to get my wood shop back up. I had a tree.
Did you go get the stuff from the person?
I have not. I haven't slowed down. Neither one of us has slowed down. He keeps on saying that I need to come over with my truck. So apparently there's more than just a little thing. So some big things too. So
yeah, I have a little inside scoop. So a friend has offered Paul some of his woodworking tools because he's realized he doesn't use them and is trying to downsize some of his shop. And I know what's there because I've been there. And you need to go.
I know
you
I need to
go.
I
go.
know. But my shop is only 8x12.
Doesn't matter, Paul. Go for
I have to find space for it.
Come on, man! Don't turn down free tools.
That's true. No, that's a adage that we should live by.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I have something to report. Well, this wasn't just me for fun, but it ended up being a fun day. It was a work thing. There's a church member here who she is a widow, and she wanted to buy a nice car. And
she came up to me last night at a church event, and she was so excited. She got it ordered.
Oh, don't spoil the story.
Oh, sorry.
So she wanted to buy a car, which evidently she ordered it. Thanks, Paul. And she was anxious about going car shopping by herself. Her husband passed away 2 years ago, and her son-in-law lives close. His job isn't flexible. He couldn't take off to come in and go with her. And she'd done some homework, but she was just anxious about it. And one of the cars she was looking at was a BMW. And she was comparing BMW and Lexus, and both are great. But we know, and we are friends with, the general manager of the BMW dealership, BMW of Grapevine, Jared Richardson, who is an incredible human being. And I love BMW. I've owned too many. I don't want to tell you how many. It's not a number that when you hear me say makes you go, well, that makes sense. No, it's way more than that. So reached out to Jared and explained the situation and asked him if there would be a good time for us to come by and if he could introduce her to a salesperson. That's it. I just was like, give us a name. I don't mean to bother you, any of that. But Jared, being who he is, rolled out the red carpet. He scheduled his own time to be able to meet her, and there was another manager, like basically every layer of employee there, manager, and then the salesperson. And he didn't pick a rookie salesperson. He brought out his like award-winning expert sales guy. And they all spent time. She told them all about her grandkids, and she has like 9 of them, and all of her concerns about buying a car by herself. And everybody was there with her the whole time. They gave her a tour of the whole facility, took her back and showed her the shop and all that they have going on there. And she just was treated so well and with so much respect. They answered all of her questions and explained all the technology on cars, because now they're basically spaceships. Actually, actual space shuttles don't have as much tech as a modern day car. And they were so patient. And she ordered a car. She's excited about it. And I just couldn't be more grateful to Jared and to the whole Sewell network and BMW of Grapevine. So if you're in need of a car and you want a nice car, okay, obviously we're not talking your cheap runaround, but if you need a good car that you're going to enjoy, it's going to be fun, and you want a good dealer relationship, I can't speak any higher of BMW of Grapevine.
Well, one of the things that I have experience with is that I ordered a truck, or actually I got a truck and they said, well, it's on order. And it took almost about 2.5 to 3 months to get here. Mm-hmm. And I'd say, hey, this is what I want. This is what I want. It just happened to have it all on there. Mm-hmm. Okay. I still got, like I said, 2 to 3 months. That order that she put in, she said could be here in less than 4 weeks.
Yeah. It's the way that they build their cars kind of on demand, and it's a cool system once you know kind of how that works. And I'm a huge nerd when it comes to cars, so I had Jared explain it all to me. It's really cool, and that's great. And I love BMW. I love what they're doing right now. Love the company, love the dealership, but most importantly, I'm just proud to see one church member do his best to help care for someone else, and it's just great. So, again, you need a car. You want a car for Christmas? BMW of Grapevine.
Did she get the big bow like you see in the commercials?
Oh, that's gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
I hope she doesn't hear this. Yeah, they're gonna do put a big bow on it. In fact, if you go to their showroom, they've got bows on all the cars in the showroom right now. But yeah, they do that, and they put the little license plate bracket so you can get free car wash for the life of the vehicle. And if you need service done, they can come and you just can't be bothered to wait. They'll come pick you up. Like they'll pick you up or pick up your car, whatever. They'll take care of it. I mean, the level of service that they do, it's phenomenal. It's out of this world. Man, I want one so bad. That's just not in the cards for Grant right now.
I just got a new truck last year, so I can't get another new one.
Oh, I made the mistake of driving a car while I was there. I should have just not done anything. Just put blinders on and sat in the waiting room. But the sales guy is so smart. He's like, "Hey, Grant, would you like to drive it?" "Oh, I guess so. I might as well, you know." Oh, I should not have done that. Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
But again, thanks to Jared. Thanks to Sewell. Thank you, BMW. That's what I had to share. Do you have anything?
I don't think so. I think that we talked about all these Christmas activities, and we are busy, but we don't not have time. Double negative.
We have time for you.
That's what we're trying to say. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
We don't not have time. No, we'll make time. We'll find time, and we're here for you. Whatever you need. We hope that you come and celebrate Christmas with us. We'd love to see you walk down Main Street.
And this is I always say the wrong dates, but I think it's like the 84th
It's got to be higher than that.
87th, some it's under 90. So, but it's up there for our candlelighting, which is December the 8th. At 3:30, we call it. We don't call it just candlelighting anymore. It's the Christmas Village.
Candlelighting and Christmas Village. We'll have fun for the whole family. As soon as the choir concert is over, which is going to be a blast, then we'll have bounce houses. We'll have food. We'll have pictures with Santa. You won't want to miss it. Bring the whole family. Tons of fun.
That's December the 8th. Sunday, December the 8th.
My only criticism is our promo video that's going to be coming out. I have some terrible actors. Oh, my goodness.
And they were hard to work with, too.
Talk about a complete absence of talent. That
should be coming out before.
I've intentionally not told people about even friends. Nobody. It's people on staff don't even know about that. So. When is that coming out?
I'm working on it today and tomorrow. So
what does that mean?
That means it should be out before this podcast. Yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to be totally shocked because I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I'm in it. You can guess that, but the other people will. You'll be surprised who you might recognize, or you can guess who that is. Let's say that. All right. We should probably wrap this up. I've got another meeting coming up.
Yes, and you had a quote.
Yes. So I said this in conversation with a friend, and that person quickly said, "Oh, that should be your quote for your podcast," which caught me off guard. I even forgot to be collecting these, and I will offer this to you with no context whatsoever. I will not explain this one, but this is a Grant Palma original. Are you ready?
Please.
There is an appropriate time and place to be stupid. There's an appropriate time and a place to be stupid. So keep that in mind and choose wisely. It's kind of a play on the Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time and a season for each thing. Yeah, there's a time to be serious, stoic, reverent, and there's a time to be a little bit silly. And the reason I I will give a little bit of context. The reason I say stupid in particular, if you're bored and I've got time to Google this, the Weird Al Yankovic has a song that he wrote for the Transformers movie soundtrack back in 1986, Dare to Be Stupid. The opening line is, "Put down that chainsaw and listen to me." If you have nothing better to do, first of all, I can just hear so many eyes rolling at me right now. But if you have nothing better to do, Google that.
See, I think you're going to have to spend a couple of weeks now quoting Weird Al Yankovic every time.
No, I think I'm done. I'm done with that. But there you go. There's an appropriate time and a place to be stupid. And I hope that you, dear listener, have a chance to let your hair down and have fun and enjoy a moment of silliness. I hope that you make time to relax and enjoy and be grateful for all the things that God has put in your life. We're here for you if you need some help, if you need to talk. And thank you for this time, and thank you for being a part of the conversation. I encourage you to go and talk to somebody else about those little Christmas moments that matter to you and the ones that you'd like to share with others. Until next time, we hope that you have a great day and a great week. See you soon.